news is done right. Remember when the radical left, the legacy media, and all the so called experts told you it was impossible to lower prices, and that President Trump's promises to actually lower prices were just talk? Well, guess what? They were wrong once again. The latest numbers are in, and U.S. consumer prices fell in March. This is the first time we've seen prices drop in nearly 3 years. Just think about it. After years of crushing Biden inflation, the worst in decades, we are finally seeing relief starting to kick in, just as President Trump predicted. The headline number, the Consumer Price Index, dropped 0.1% last month. The so-called experts, they forecast another increase. Wrong again. And meanwhile, President Trump announced a 90-day pause on his reciprocal tariffs for most countries except for China, who continues to want a free pass when it comes to unfair trade. Here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent explaining more. Watch.
Unfortunately, the biggest offender in the global trading system is China, and they're the only country who's escalated. And I can tell the rest of the world that I'm not sure whether it was the prime minister or the economic minister in Spain made some comments this morning, oh, well, maybe we should align ourselves more with China. That would be cutting your own throat, because I can tell you that these Chinese exports that the U.S. tariff wall is going to keep out, that China, for all of you who can remember that Disney movie of the brooms carrying the buckets of water, that is a Chinese business model. It never stops. They just keep producing and producing and dumping, and it's going somewhere. And I think, Rob, at the end of the day, that we can probably reach a deal with our allies, with the other countries that have been long-term. They've been good military allies, not perfect economic allies, and then we can approach China as a group.
Remember, this isn't just about economics. It's also about national security and protecting our most critical supply chains. Here is Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins laying it all out. Take a look.
Security issue, whether it's timber or food or energy, whatever it is, if we're relying more on other countries, that's not what's best for America. So opening up the forest lands and a percentage of those, ensuring that we're moving permitting more quickly, ensuring we're deregulating will bring more prosperity, not just in the cost of the good, but also to rural parts of America, more jobs, better jobs, and we're really excited about that. The president's vision is right on, and we've been implementing it at USDA.
And in the House of Representatives today, the lower chamber delivered President Trump a major win, voting to adopt the president's budget blueprint to get our spending under control and get this country back on track. Joining me now to react to this and so much more, author of the White Privilege album and The Woking Dead, I love this, PR guru, AJ Rice. Pleasure to have you back on the program. Smart guy, but a funny guy as well, so we always love having you. Let's jump right into the tariffs. I'm really fascinated to see what you think about this whole situation. Obviously, there's been a lot of press about it. The so-called globalist elites, okay? They have a whole complete meltdown over anything and everything that President Trump does. They just hit the button, meltdown. Is this trade war more like President Trump forcing China's hand and boosting American industry?
Well, it is. It's about circling the wagons of Western civilization, and in some cases, just all of civilization against China, because China is slowly going to become isolated here. They asked Australia for help, and Australia said, "No, thanks. We're not throwing in with you." I mean, look, China is absolutely a homicidal regime, but in some cases, it's also a suicidal regime. They don't place, any type of value on human life, let alone all this plastic garbage that they're shipping out through Temu and these other things around the world. And I will say this, KG, and you know this, right? Politicians of both parties are guilty for really the last 40 years of basically allowing the Chinese, who is our mortal enemy, to slowly gobble up all the things that made us an independent, great country. How are you going to allow your mortal enemy to make all your medicine or to control all the rare earth minerals on the planet? I mean, how are you going to allow that to happen? So Trump comes along, first guy really since Reagan, and Reagan was dealing with a different scenario globally with the Soviet Union. So everyone else has been patting themselves on the back, all the libertarians, all this institute and this institute of dorks and that institute of wedgie takers for years.
Wait, what, wedgie?
And yeah, I mean, and until populism comes along and Trumpism, no one was willing to take this on. They were okay with leading from behind, like Barack Obama used to say, and allowing the Chinese to eat our lunch on pretty much everything we will ever need if we ever have to fight them in a hot war.
It's absolutely right. You know, for decades, politicians tiptoed, right, around Beijing. Trump basically kicked down the door, okay, and called them out. You know, in your opinion, you know, was that confrontational, quote, you know, America first style the only language, quite frankly, that Beijing will actually understand, you know, after years of being coddled and treated like a little swaddled baby?
Right. And look, part of the theory was that, you know, China, that eventually, and, you know, this is sort of modern communism, that China would allow, you know, through sort of some sort of weird libertarian osmosis of the power of the free market, that 1.3 billion, person penal colony, which is what it is, would somehow allow, you know, that free trade would sort of change their culture or change their demeanor. But look, they're showing us just this week who they are. They are in a dogfight now with Donald Trump on trade and on tariffs. And what do they run to? Well, one of their chief propagandists this week is tweeting out videos of Mao Zedong. That's what they go back to. So, look, Americans go back to George Washington, we go back to Franklin or Lincoln or TR or Reagan, but no, they go back to when they're cornered, and I don't see Putin coming running to help them either, might I add, not yet anyway. When they're cornered, they start sending out videos of the greatest hits of the 20th century. And what is the greatest hits? The greatest hits is anywhere between 65 million to 100 million people exterminated, including many of their own people.
So sad. It's very tragic. And thank you for, pointing out the history there, which I think is important to grasp and understand and never forget. You know, watching the Democrats lately, it sometimes feels like tuning into a sitcom, not a very good one, where the cast, you know, hates the scriptwriter. It's just revolt. You know, they'll deliver the lines, but they can't stand the script. Now, between the infighting and trying to sell us on one bad policy after another, you know, where's the biggest disconnect? Is it the message? Is it the messengers? Or is it the product itself?
Well, I mean, the product shot. This last election wasn't just a woke Waterloo; it was a globalist Waterloo too. Yeah. For them, and they don't know how to regroup. I mean, they lost all kinds of figures. You know, we've talked about it before. They lost Tulsi, and they lost people like Naomi Wolf, and they lost, Joe Rogan, who voted for Bernie Sanders once upon a time. They lost the oldest male heir of the most famous Democrat family in the last century, which is RFK Jr. They lost Elon, who was more than happy to continue to stay a Democrat as long as they didn't, lose their minds. This is like the Exxon Valdez leaking. And what's crazy about it is, what have they decided to show us in the last 100 days? Yeah. So China's showing us who they are by tweeting out Mao, the genocidal maniac. What are the Democrats doing? Well, they have marched out Black Little Mermaid, Congresswoman, my girlfriend, Jasmine Crockett, girl, they put her out there, right? So she's now their press secretary. And what have they been for the last 100 days? Well, they've been for turning around planes full with cartel members and landing them in your backyard. They've been for the assassination of healthcare executives on the streets of Manhattan. They've been for burning Teslas to the ground. They've been for sending men into Nancy Mace's bathroom on Capitol Hill, right? Crazy. And they've been for, the Jew hunters, Snow White and the 7 anti-Semites on Columbia's campus, hunting down Jewish students and Israeli students.
It's crazy.
This is who they are. This is who they are. Look, I'm a marketing person, and I just want to say, keep it up. Keep it up.
So crazy.
You will have midterms if you keep this up.
Yeah, it's really backfiring, and it doesn't make any sense. I mean, they have no cohesive plan. They do everything is like the exact opposite of like winning or a positive outcome. They're just engendering like rage from the other side to be like, what is happening here, and to make sure and prevent these people from ever getting in power again. And let's talk about President Trump's negotiation tactics, okay? Because there's been a lot of discussion about this. It feels like kind of like the art of the deal in action, right? Like, how crucial is that? In a little bit of a way, that unpredictability and keeping adversaries, guessing, and ultimately getting better deals for America.
I mean, you are seeing a live action global stage play of the art of the deal here.
It's unbelievable.
And he's got the art of the deal. I mean, they're obviously not reading his book, but he's reading theirs, because he's got the art of war in one hand and the art of the deal in the other.
Yeah.
And he is checkmating Xi every step of the way. And look, this is never going to be a straight line, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I mean, no negotiation is. Was ending the Civil War a straight line? No. Was destroying all of manufacturing a straight line? No. It starts with NAFTA, and then it goes on to, TAFTA and SHAFTA and stuff that Clinton did and W did and Obama did. And that's how we got here. But, it can be fixed by renegotiating. I mean, look, he's got 70, 80 countries begging to work out some kind of deal. So the question is, you have a force multiplier effect. So it's like, so if you're Japan and South Korea is watching what Japan's doing, if Japan's going to get some deal that South Korea wants, so they all start lining up behind the velvet rope. And if Canada wants to diddle itself and the EU wants to mess around, they're going to be ass out in the end of this, KG. They're because they're going to be at the back of the line, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that, like, you would think with all these supposed millionaires there in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, that one of these people would have provided a good or a service at one time in their life or built something. I don't know how all these people got this money, but they obviously don't have MBAs.
Well, it's really bad. And what I like is that, and I saw this the first term, and I've seen it, knowing President Trump for decades, is that he's not afraid to get out there and take a stand. He's got a little bit of the America First cowboy in him. He's a gunslinger. And you can't try to push him around. You just cannot, because everything's been done to him, and he just doesn't care. He's just going to do what he believes in and what's right. He's not intimidated by any of these people. Not that any of them are that formidable, but, usually, like we saw what happened with Biden, President Xi's no joke, but he's not afraid to go up against him, and he's got to stand, against some of the tough people in the world that bulldoze everyone else, whether it's Xi or whether it's Putin or that joke, Zelensky, please.
Oh, the man in the green pajamas, right? Pulling up in his Bugatti with his goofy wife. Look, if you were paying attention for the last 40 years, with Trump on Oprah and Trump on Phil Donahue and Trump on Larry King, you would kind of know that this was coming. You would know that this is not new to him.
Right.
Using trade as a leverage pain point. And what's funny is most of these goofy Democrats, whether it's Pelosi or Schumer, Bill Clinton, the tariff weapon was always considered a Democrat Party weapon. And now I see them they're all hyperventilating, going to Lamaze class and everything else to try to like justify all their billionaire shadowy friends because they lost because of the market swings. Well, look, Main Street's been getting shafted for 4 decades. It's about time they won.
That's correct.
Exactly.
Oh my God, you had me at Lamaze, but before that you had me at green pajamas and his Bugatti with his goofy wife. I cannot. Every time this guy comes,
speaking of colors, KG, I put on the KG uniform today.
I like that.
Right? And it's not just because I'm Catholic and it's Lent. Okay? Going on with KG, you got to rock the purple.
Right? I love it. You look gorgeous. I love it. So let's talk about these goofy Dems some more, because it just makes me so happy. It all seems like another example of the Democrat establishment, just being totally unwilling, okay, to even attempt to act in good faith, right? Now, your books get into that as well. You know, what are some of the key themes to kind of keep our eyes on in the months ahead?
Well, you know, and my book sort of attacks these sort of twin, the Gemini of left-wing cultural Marxism and global Marxism, which is globalism and wokeism. What you should watch is this. The fact of the matter is, and we talked about this before, they don't seem to have learned anything from the last election. They are a smaller group of people. They are more radical, right? They found every white former washed out hippie in the DC suburbs to go out to Tyson's Corner and attack a Tesla dealership, right? I don't see any brothers out there. I don't see any Puerto Ricans, KG, out there.
No.
I see a bunch of goofy people with, you know, bachelor's degrees in underwater lesbian basket weaving. That's what I see, right? That's what I see out there.
I feel like
right?
there's
And
some
I
talent
try
in
to
that.
wave to them.
Underwater lesbian basket. Oh my
But they're
God.
not learning their lesson. I mean,
Yeah.
I told you that list earlier. I mean, they are doubling down on crazy. And, you know, you do see some people like Fetterman, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, Bill Maher, Seth Moulton had an exchange with AOC about the bathrooms. Some of them have not taken the suicide pill, and they're like, look, we look crazy. We have doubled down on the worst elements of the Democrat Party. And it's like Bill Maher said the other day, the American people respond to two things: authenticity, which is Trump. I mean, Trump is Trump, right? And the other thing is merit. So like somebody like Kamala Harris, who has neither, she's not authentic, and she didn't get where she was through merit. The American people can smell a phony.
Exactly.
Right? So you know, if they run another one out there in a couple of years, they'll smell that one too.
No, you're absolutely right. They can't smell a phony, and she's like the least authentic person I've ever met. And her frigging coconut tree, like let me tell you something. That's crazy town right there. Okay, and let me tell you, she actually thinks she can run and wants to run for governor of California. What about them apples?
Sure. I mean, we'll see. And look, there are some people, and Governor Newsom. It's funny.
Who dat?
He kind of, I know you know him. He kind of set a trap for Tim Walz. Pinky finger in the air, Tim Walz. Because if Gavin decides to run himself for president, he's now got tape of Walz saying really dumb stuff that he can use in an ad, because he went on his podcast and he basically, beclowned himself, saying that they're afraid of my masculinity, right? So, I mean, I don't know whether Newsom's going to set more traps for his potential rivals, but he walked Tim Walz right into that giant Tampon Tim bear trap.
Oh my God! Can you even imagine?
He did.
These people. I mean, these people. It's so out of control. All right, so I gotta get your opinion on this too, okay? Because I've got to go through all the stuff. I go, what would AJ say? So shifting gears. I know. Well, take a deep breath together. The NBA playoffs are starting soon.
Indeed.
And LeBron James.
Oh no.
Has his own Ken doll. I know you've got a few thoughts. There it is. Feast your eyes on this.
Oh, wow. It's an amazing thing. When I first saw this story, I thought it was fake. I was like, okay, that's like they're having like a series of famous Ken dolls. I'm sure Barack Obama's next. Maybe Tim Walz will get one with his pinky in the air, doing his Richard Simmons impersonation. But it's an amazing thing. I guess, Barbie is trying to reach that NBA culture somehow. And, you would think one of the ladies at the WNBA would get a Barbie or a Ken or some kind of doll first.
A Barbie or a Ken doll.
I can't keep track of this stuff, because when I first saw this, I just thought this was a regular, black trans Barbie doll. I had no idea it was LeBron, because he wasn't wearing a Lakers jersey. We'll see.
God.
Maybe that'll be the sequel, the next movie. LeBron will play Barbie. LeBron will play Barbie and Ken both in the sequel.
That is so terrifying. These are the type of things that keep me up at night. Just the image. But yeah, you're right. You think they would do like a female, like WNBA, like some kind of little doll like that. I don't know. I got one downstairs that they made that looks like me. It's kind of cute. But
Well, they're trying to, there's a huge market for Barbie in the inner city black youth, as you know. So they're trying to reach them with a LeBron Barbie doll. Let me just say this. I'll speak for my Philly brother, may he rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. There was never any Barbie dolls of Kobe Bryant, and there would never be any of Michael Jordan, both of which are better than LeBron James. And you know that debate's over. Come on.
debate's over. You're not going to get any kind of pushback from me on that. Let me tell you.
I just imagine like the agent to like LeBron's got, some famous agents and managers. Oh, wait a minute. People still aren't sure whether LeBron's better than Kobe or Mike. I know. I've got this great idea. Cue the Barbie doll. This will put us over the top.
Yeah, this will put her over the top. This will decide this once and for all. Could you imagine if they went to like Michael Jordan, like, bro, you got to do a Barbie doll. It's going to be killer. This is going to be lit. You're going to be like, wow, like unbelievable. It's like, what? I don't
Mike
think
would
so.
never get caught dead with no Barbie doll.
No way.
What he's got some daughters. That's as far as he'll go if they're playing with Barbies.
Yeah, he's got like a tequila, okay? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's the way to go.
Yeah, not like a Barbie doll dude where you take your clothes off and like put the clothes.
Yeah, right, exactly. Hey, LeBron, is this Barbie doll a smoothie like the rest of the Kens? The smoothies. I didn't want to go there, KG, but you're warming me up here in the bullpen.
I don't know. Am I warming you up? It'll be like we just lost 7 sponsors. No more 1775 coffee. Joking.
No,
Wow, that smoothie. Wow, that's scary. But yeah, another thing to ponder. Okay, where can people get more of this fascinating analysis? Tell them where to find you and stalk you.
That's right. Well, anywhere books are sold there, you can find me, in the Mattel gulag when they show up because I've been trashing Barbie. But no,
Yeah.
Amazon books, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble. Get yourself a copy of the White Privilege album. We just dropped an audio version. And The Walking Dead's out in paperback, and I am currently working on Volume 3. So, I'll
How
be
cool
ready
is
to
this?
I'll be ready to be canceled with Volume 3 probably next year.
Okay, that's perfect. We love it. Just keep trying to cancel him because you can't. He's unstoppable, unbeatable, just like our Trumpy bear, right? That's one thing.
Especially when I'm wearing purple like KG. That's all
I
it is,
know.
man.
This
Tell
is
me.
what I love. We're like totally in sync right now. Why don't they make some dolls of us? Let me tell you.
Oh, I mean, man, we'd sell way more than LeBron. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that right
no
now.
kidding. LeBron and his like mom's buying it, and that's about it. But we're all about you.
Right.
We're buying it, that's for sure. Go pick up the books. Get it. Always fabulous. We love having you on this show. AJ, you're the man.
We love you, girl. You keep fighting. You're a patriot. Get after them.
There you go. All right, be good. And coming up, President Trump digs coal. We're going to explain. But first, free speech is under attack. Not on this show, as you can tell. But Rumble refuses to back down. So does AJ Rice, and so do I. We have always believed in empowering independent voices, and now Rumble is taking it to the next level. We are excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits for viewers and creators. And it's more than a subscription. It is a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. So join Rumble Premium today. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan. Guess what? Using promo code KG10. So just visit rumble.com/premium/KG10 and claim your discount today. Again, that's rumble.com/premium/KG10. Now this week at the White House, President Trump announced a new era of energy dominance. I just love the sound of that, including the production of beautiful, clean coal. Watch.
I personally thank you for what you do for our country and for our industry. It has been my pleasure to be here today to help you usher in the golden age of America. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
And it's yet another example of what strong America First leadership can achieve. This has been a very important thing for President Trump. Joining us now, founder of Power the Future, Daniel Turner. Pleasure to have you back on the show again. Look, you're smiling. Trump's the president. Coal is beautiful and clean. Energy dominance. Daniel, we're seeing oil prices come down. Investment into America is up. And a mission to reverse the damage done over decades to straighten and strengthen our energy infrastructure. How does the tariff policy tie into all of this?
Yeah, well, it puts an emphasis on producing domestically. Don't forget the previous administration sought to get oil from Venezuela, from Iran, from the Saudis, right? Joe Biden ran around the world and asked them for oil while punishing domestic production. So I think in that sense, it's very important that it emphasizes the need for American production. The other thing it does is with no knock to wind and solar, but knocking wind and solar, 70% of that industry is manufactured in China. So that's going to make solar and wind a lot more expensive. And I don't know why coughing over hundreds of billions of dollars to build wind and solar is somehow green when China is building that wind and solar by using fossil fuels. So it also it balances the energy infrastructure back towards putting America first.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense of the way they approach it. But you recently posted a video, right, about the war on coal and how it decimated American cities and towns. How will the next 4 years under President Trump going to be our unique opportunity to unleash this American energy and make rural America, great again, which I think is incredibly important. It suffered terribly under Obama, under Biden. Certainly no Hillary Clinton was disparaging to all the amazing coal workers in this country. But what do you think about this opportunity?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And that's my pinned tweet. And it's why I started Power the Future, because, of course, energy is important to the economy and it's important to the national security and world peace. Energy is everything, right? But I started Power the Future because of those rural American jobs. And you look at what, and I talk about energy jobs, but you could replace this with ranching or farming or the timber industry or manufacturing. So many of these small towns across America were built because of a thriving industry that was politicized, whether it was NAFTA that moved factories to Mexico or to China, or if it was the green agenda that said we're going to shut down coal plants. And what we've done is we've taken once great little towns of 15,000 people where everybody worked at the coal plant or the steel mill or the furniture factory. And we plunged it into poverty. And we said that this was somehow free trade. We said it was good for the global economy. We said it was going to eventually bring down prices. And the libertarian world said, don't worry, because in that void of resources, human capital and factories, some new industry will move in. But it never did. And if you go to these small towns across America, you do see opioid problems, you see suicide problems, you see domestic violence and real systemic poverty. It's what J.D. Vance's book is about. It's what, that great series Mayor of Easttown is about. These types of towns that were left, and they weren't left because of capitalism. They were left because of globalism and corporatism. And to give them a voice in this presidency is remarkable, because they haven't had a voice ever. In 30 years, they haven't had a voice.
You also had a viral tweet last week showing French President Macron telling French companies to stop investing into the U.S. Are the French our friends? I mean, they're not being best lately, if you get my point.
Yeah, this is one of those mystery things you don't understand, how big the swamp is, that there are these quasi-government agencies like the World Bank or the World Health Organization, or in this case, the XM Bank. The XM Bank, which is an American institution, that the president of the XM Bank is confirmed by the Senate and appointed by the president, right? So it's quasi-government. But the XM Bank gave a French company a $5 billion loan so that they could build a natural gas pipeline in Mozambique. Why? No one knows. Why? No offense to the Mozambique people or to France, but why the heck are we giving you a loan to build your energy infrastructure when our energy infrastructure needs? And then you see in response to this,
why would we do that? We need to
Exactly.
develop our
Makes
own.
no
I don't
sense.
understand.
You know, and this isn't building a school in Mozambique. This
No.
isn't philanthropy. This is building an industry that's going to compete with America. And at the same time, you've got President Macron blasting us for blasting President Trump for trying to find equitable trade. And you say, well, then how about we get the money back, right? Why? So, no, to answer your question, Kimberly, I don't think Europe really sees us sometimes as a friend, and that's unfortunate. A lot of it is our own fault, but we've been taken advantage of for so long that now they're kind of used to the fact that the Americans will do whatever we want. It's disappointing.
It really is. And this is a pretty important kind of 2 to 3-parter. Why does the left try to explain this to me? Why do they hate coal so much?
Yeah. I think they hate coal because it's easier to export that to foreign countries where it can be mined an awful lot more cheaply. World coal production is up over the last 30 years, and it continues to rise. America's portion of the coal pie has gotten smaller and smaller, and that's because of these green movements. So it's
Exactly.
not like the world's not using coal, just America is no longer producing it. And we've ceded that ground towards other countries that have expanded their coal industry. There are people like Tom Steyer, if you recall, he ran for
Yes.
president in 2019, right on the green ticket. Tom Steyer, who's a billionaire hedge fund guy, his hedge fund invests heavily in overseas coal. But Tom Steyer ran on a platform that we should shut down coal in America. I always thought that was curious that the press never pushed him to say,
Sure.
well, if we shut down coal in America and you use 9-year-old girls in Indonesia, are you benefiting from that? Right? Well, I think they go after coal because it's an easy target. It's middle America who they dislike. They make fun of it. Right? They call them names and you're inbred and you married your sister and we like to ridicule small town
So
America.
stupid, yeah.
But I think the people who fund the green
Sophomore.
movement or the foreign countries that fund the green movement have benefited tremendously, as President Trump's pointed out, that we shut down our industries and it thrives in other countries, and they're paying for that to happen.
Well, so what can the energy, department do, under Chris Wright? Like, what have you seen so far? What do you think is next, and what do you think should be next?
Well, I think the proclamation of coal as a critical mineral is essential because we don't just use coal to make electricity. You can't make steel without coal. You can't make cement. President Trump's a builder. He talks about building ships again. We can't build any ship to go to sea without coal. People say, well, let's use natural gas instead of coal. Great. You can't build a natural gas plant or a natural gas pipeline without coal. So coal is the granddaddy of all energy. And without coal, we are a very, very weak country. So the best thing Chris Wright can do, and that he and President Trump did, declaring it a critical mineral means that,
Big deal.
God forbid 2028 rolls around and something terrible happens like 2020 and the bad people are back in charge. They can't now turn around and say, we're going to shut down coal because I'm on the campaign trail, darn it. And no, you can't do that anymore because it's critical to our national security.
Important.
And
That was
that's
a very
protection.
smart move. Very smart move, well thought out. I'm pretty excited about that. And I think we have to really pay attention because he's got one term here and you have to think very seriously about 2028. Unless, you hear the rumors about him wanting to run again, but never put anything past Trump. Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean Trump won't do it. But also, and from my understanding, the Biden administration wouldn't even license or put into the public domain technologies that the government owns. They stood in the way every time, every step of the way.
Yeah, and this is that notion that we're still living in the 1970s. And Joe Biden would, on the campaign trail when he was more lucid, would say, growing up as a kid in Scranton, and there was so much soot, you could run your finger across the windshield. Maybe that was the case in the 1970s, but we don't live in the 70s anymore. We
Not
know
like that now.
the Cuyahoga River caught on fire, right? We know people used to throw their garbage out the window, and we don't act like that anymore. So
No.
why are we pretending we're still in this polluted, we don't live like that, and the EPA needs to move with the times. So the left, the Biden administration, they use the EPA to pretend that we're always on the brink of pollution disaster, and we're not. We're a very clean and very healthy, environmentally healthy country. And so we've always gotten better, and coal has gotten cleaner, as has oil and gas, as has everything, as have cars, as we've gotten better, and not because of government, but because free markets and free people are always getting better. Government usually just gets in the way.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Well, you're amazing. We love you, my good friend Daniel. Always fascinating to have these conversations. I think it's a big win for you, for the work that you do.
Thank you.
And, we're all for this energy dominance and putting America first. I love coal. I've campaigned, West Virginia, and all the coal miners. And it's just wonderful, all the hardworking families, that people like Hillary Clinton tried to put out of work. Well, America's back to work, and I'm really excited about this. And we're back to owning energy and energy dominance and independence. Daniel Turner, tell everyone where they can find you, because he puts out these great tweets and all this great information.
Thank you. Powerthefuture.com, or I'm Daniel Turner, PTF, for Power of the Future on social media. And thanks for bringing this to your audience's attention. It's great that rural America has a voice again, and it's just a great day. So thank you.
It really is. I'm pretty excited about it as well. All right. Be good, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kimberly.
And my closing remarks just ahead. But wonderful show today. But also be sure to check out the 1775 Coffee Company, because we talk about it all the time. Do not compromise on taste, on quality, or on your values. And 1775 Coffee is brewed to perfection. It is crafted with precision and built on patriotism. The whole farm to cup process means there is quality, authenticity, and sustainability from start to finish. All the beans are, ethically and exclusively single source. So try 1775 Coffee today. You go to 1775coffee.com/KG for 15 off your first order. I needed to burn some coal in here today because it was freezing. I'm just going to tell you that. Beautiful coal. In closing, we are fighting back in the war against American workers, which has gone on for far too long. It is time to change the tide, rewrite the rules, and restore sanity to our government and its core mission. It is long past due, but we are ready to right the wrongs and deliver success for who? We, the people. Thank you so much for joining us on this victorious day, a great day for America, for American energy independence. Please be sure to download the Rumble app, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, like and share, and tell all your friends so they know exactly where to find us. And please also be sure to follow me across all platforms: X, Truth Social, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Stay tuned to Rumble for all the latest breaking news coverage. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you again.